Turn the clock back to 1985 when the Commodore Amiga was launched as one of the first of the new breed of super powerful home computers. Going up against ZX Spectrums and BBC Micros, it just blew them out of the water. So let's turn your humble Raspberry Pi into the dream machine of the mid-80s. Hi and welcome to Bytes N Bits. The Commodore Amiga was one of the groundbreaking home computers from the second half of the 1980s. Launched in 1985, it was powered by a 16-bit Motorola 68000 processor with upwards of 256 kilobytes of RAM. It had a mouse-based, graphical, windowed, multitasking operating system called Amiga OS, and hardware-accelerated graphics and sound capabilities using custom coprocessor chips. Compared to the standard 8-bit computers of the day, this was a true leap forward in performance. And best of all, the gaming industry took full advantage of the upgraded hardware. So this makes the Amiga a great machine to emulate, and you can do it with your Raspberry Pi running RetroPie. In this video, I'm going to be using my Raspberry Pi 02W. I've overclocked mine to 1.4 GHz just to give it a little bit of extra power, so if it works okay here, it will work fine on the 3B Plus and 4 and anything newer. If you haven't seen my videos on setting up RetroPie or overclocking the Pi 02, then check out the description below for links to those. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more gaming and coding videos. So, let's boot up RetroPie and get our Amiga games running. The Amiga emulator we'll be using is Amiberry. Now this isn't installed by default, so we'll have to manually install it through the RetroPie setup screens. So from the RetroPie menu, go to the RetroPie section and then select RetroPie Setup. Once that opens up, select the Manage Packages option, followed by the Optional Packages. You'll then get a list of extra software popping up, so find and select Amiberry. On the installation menu, you can install from a pre-compiled version, which is the quickest way, but it doesn't always use the latest version. Or of course we can install it from the source code. This will download and build the latest software, but it will take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. So once you've finished the installation, back out to the main RetroPie menu and reboot. Amiberry should now be installed on your Raspberry Pi. To check it's all gone okay, you should have an Amiga option in RetroPie with one game showing. Selecting Amiga should show a Start Amiberry listing, and if you select that, you should be able to get to the Amiberry setup screen. This screen lets you set up how Amiberry works. You can select the model of Amiga you want to emulate, and a whole range of other options. It's possible to use your gamepad to navigate around, but I would advise of connecting a keyboard and mouse. The whole Amiga experience will actually be easier with these connected anyway. For now, just leave all the settings as they are and just click Quit to get back to RetroPie. So the emulator is now installed and working, but we've got a few more steps to complete before we can play any games. Each of the Amiga models used a different version of the operating system, depending on the hardware configuration for that model. Amiberry is shipped with a basic BIOS file that will get you up and running, but it's not ideal. So we'll need to get hold of and install a set of BIOS ROMs so we can accurately emulate the various Amiga models. Now these ROMs are actually available for sale from a company called Amiga Forever, and this is a legitimate source. If you have a look at their website, you'll see that their Value Edition has the main 1.3 ROM set, and that will get you going. But their Plus Edition has the full set of ROMs if you want to explore the platform a bit more. Now of course these files can be downloaded from elsewhere. Unfortunately, as YouTube has pointed out to me, I can't tell you where to get them. Downloading copyright software is illegal, so do please bear this in mind. As usual though, a quick search on the internet will easily uncover their location. Look for Amiga Kickstart BIOS files and Google will take you there. If you're having any trouble with any of the steps in this tutorial, don't forget that I've made a blog post on my bytesandbits.co.uk website that goes along with this video, so you'll find help and other information there, and do check the description below for a link to that. If we then have a look at the RetroPie documentation for the Amiga, you'll see the list of BIOS files that you need to get hold of. To install them, you simply need to copy them into the BIOS folder in your RetroPie SD card. So if your Raspberry Pi is connected to your home wireless network, the easiest way to do this is to open up the RetroPie share folder and copy the files over the network. Otherwise, just simply power down the Pi and put the SD card into your computer and copy the files across that way. So now that we've got the BIOS files in place, we need to get hold of some games. So again, looking at the RetroPie documentation, you'll see the file extensions that Amiberry supports. Now some of these formats are for single floppy disk images, and others try to combine the whole game into one file. Amiga games were generally distributed on floppy disks, or at least the rigid 3.5-inch versions, which could hold just a bit over 800 kilobytes each. So some games needed multiple floppies that had to be loaded into the disk drive one by one as the game loaded or progressed. So if you download individual floppy disk images, you're going to have to follow this same process. So here I've got hold of the images for all 3 disks for a game called Alien Breed. So to get the game to run, I'm going to need to copy these into the Amiga folder in RetroPie. Now, if I put them into their own subfolder, it will keep all the files for this game in one place. If I now start Emulation Station, or reboot it if you prefer, I'll see the game listed in the Amiga section. Now unfortunately, these sorts of games won't run from the Emulation Station menu. We need to use the Start Amiberry option to get to the Amiberry control screen. So again, a keyboard and mouse is going to come in handy here, so do connect one if you haven't. If you then go to the Quick Start panel, you can select the type of Amiga in the Model drop-down, and then any extra configuration on the machine. Now the Amiga 1200 with 4 megabytes of RAM is a good starting point. And do make sure that you click the Set Configuration button to make sure that the changes you selected are actually put in place. The DF0 and DF1 sections represent your floppy disk drives on the Amiga. So click the Select File button for the DF0 drive, and then we're going to navigate and find the first disk for the game. Now you'll probably find that the file selector is not in the right folder, so use the double full stop option to back up the folder structure until you find the home folder listed. Then select this home folder, the Pi user, RetroPie, ROMs, Amiga, and then finally your game folder. Select the disk 1 image, and that should then be loaded into your floppy disk drive. You can load the second disk into the DF1 section, but I find that sometimes that makes the game fail, so I'm just going to play safe and just put the single disk into the machine. We can now click the Start button to boot up the Amiga. So after the splash screen, the system will eventually call for the second disk. Press the F12 key on your keyboard to get back to the Amiberry screen, and now select disk 2 for the DF0 drive. Then click Resume. Now games will often use the Fire button, which is the B button on your gamepad, or Space or the mouse button to continue the game load. So for this game I'm just simply pressing the B button. And eventually then we'll get to the actual game. Now floppy disk images come in a number of formats. .idf files tend to be copies of the original, and quite often they still have the copy protection code in place. So if I try to run this copy of a game called Zool, I'll get to the protection screen where I need a special cardboard wheel that actually came in the game box. So I'm going to have to rebuild that or find out some way to get around this protection before I can play the game. The best way to work around things like this here, though, is to find a hacked version of the software with this protection code removed. So here I've downloaded a couple of .adf files, and .adf files tend to be ones which have been reconstructed by Amiga fans, and they tend to remove any of this protection software. And again, Google is going to be your friend here to find these sorts of files. So running this version, I simply need to press the fire button on my controller when I get to the copy protection, and it will then take me through that. Now, using single disks can be a bit awkward, having to go into the Amiberry config screen and loading in the image files. A second option is to use WHDLoad packaged games. Now, Amiberry does support this file format, where the whole game is packaged up as a single archive file. Now, these usually include modifications to bypass the copy protection, along with a number of other patches to fix any emulation issues. The files basically set up a number of hard disk images on your emulated Amiga with the game software installed and ready to go. Again, you'll have to search around for these files, and ideally the games will come as ready packaged LHA archive files. Now, this is the native Amiga compressed file format, and you'll need to get these to run the game. Sometimes you'll also find the game packaged as either a zip or an HDF file. Now, to be honest, I haven't managed to work out how to use these yet. I have tried extracting the files and simply packaging them up as .lha archives, but that doesn't seem to work, so I guess this is something I'll have to play around with. Now, but once you've got an WHDLoad file, you can transfer that over to the Raspberry Pi Amiga ROMs folder. Reboot, and you should have a new game listed in RetroPie. Now, the great thing about WHDLoad packages is that they will usually run directly from the emulation station. You simply need to select the game, and it should boot up the Amiga with that game software. Now, if they don't start, and some of them won't, you do need to use that Start Amiberry option to get to the config screen. But this time, on the Quick Start page, you select your appropriate Amiga model, but this time we load the disk image for the WHDLoad file into the WHDLoad auto config section. You can then press Start or Reset, and the Amiga then should boot up and the game should start. Now, as you try out games, you'll find that they don't always run on all models. And as we saw with the BIOS ROMs, there are quite a few variations on the software as well as the machine specs. In the Amiberry config screen, I found that an Amiga 1200 with 4 megabytes of RAM running Kickstart 1.3 seemed to work well with most games. But some will need a different setup, but if you look for the game details online, you should be able to get some hints as to what model is needed to run the game. Again, a bit of trial and error to get things going is all part of the fun of emulation. So that should give you access to the full range of Amiga games. And as we saw, it's not quite as easy as emulating a console, as there are so many variations on Amiga models, but with a bit of trial and error and with the help of the many Amiga forums, you should be able to get your fill of the amazing games for this platform. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you'll have a go at emulating the Amiga. If you like these sorts of tutorials, please do like and subscribe to my channel so you get access to all of my upcoming gaming, making and coding releases. So have fun playing on your Amiga, and bye for now. For more games programming, electronics projects and retro gaming, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my website.